Sword Art Online is kind of a notorious show in the anime community. It was super popular for a while, but then it started to get a bit of hate, and I kind of understand why, but frankly, I loved this show, and I'm not afraid to admit it. Granted, I ignore certain arcs of the show, because even I can't get past them, but there are still some great points if you can look past some of those less than stellar parts and deal with the fact that you have a bit of an overpowered protagonist that's kind of just good at everything, which is kind of common in a lot of anime shows. But that's who we're going to be building today, because today we're diving into Kirito from Sword Art Online, because this is D&D Builds, where we have an outlet to make all sorts of ridiculous Dungeons & Dragons characters and stop driving the people in our lives insane with them. The whole point of Sword Art Online is that they're kind of locked into a game, and if you die in the game, you die for real. So you could play this up as an entire isekai style D&D campaign, which I know certain members of my community have done in the past, but the game that Kirito initially winds up in is a very low magic game, so there's not a ton of fantasy races or anything to choose from. So when it comes to a race, we're going to go with a human, and more specifically, we're going to choose a human variant, because he happens to have better reaction time than most other people that play Sword Art Online, and because of that, he has a unique ability, which there's a one-to-one translation in Dungeons & Dragons for the feat Dual Wielder. So being a human variant, we get to pick up this feat right at level 1, which allows you to have +1 armor class while wielding a separate weapon in each hand, which does feel very fitting because there's times where Kirito manages to be able to deflect incoming projectiles or attacks coming at him. But the more important part of this feat is that you can use 2-weapon fighting even when the weapons you're wielding aren't light. And that's very important because there's a very notable scene in the show where Kirito points out that he doesn't want any sort of overly light weapon. So we are able to dual wield long swords now. You also get to choose one skill when you choose a human variant. So we're gonna grab Arcana simply because he does understand the inner workings of how a lot of these games work, because as a lot of anime protagonists go, he's of course knowledgeable about pretty much everything except for how to actually talk to other people. Then we have to choose a background, and he does become somewhat infamous in the game. So we're gonna grab the background, Folk Hero. This gives us the skills Animal Handling and Survival, as well as tool proficiencies with land vehicles. So if you're in that more gun-focused game in the second season of Sword Art Online, you can ride around on that motorcycle without any issue. Additionally, you get to choose one set of tools to be proficient in. So we're gonna grab Tinker's tools, because when you're in the real world, you do tinker with electronics a little bit. Then when it comes to some starting stats, we need to be somewhat well-rounded, but still obviously have some serious focus. So we're gonna take our strength, bump it all the way to 15 because he does focus on more strength-based weapon attacks. Then we're going to take the 1 point we have available from being a human variant and bump it up to 16. Then we're going to take our dexterity, bring that up to 14 because we want to be somewhat nimble and able to dodge some incoming attacks. And then take our constitution, bring that to 13, and then get another +1 from being a human variant, bringing it to 14. That leaves us with a handful of points, and Kirito is pretty darn smart, so we're going to bump our intelligence up to 12, and with 2 points left over, we're going to throw it into wisdom, bringing it to a baseline of 10, and dumping our charisma. Because even though Kirito does manage to somehow get a lot of people attracted to him, initially he's pretty widely hated inside the game, and people tend to be attracted to him for his strong heart, not because he's overly charming. But speaking of stats, if you want to improve your own stats and not just that of your D&D character, you can do that thanks to today's sponsor, Future. Don't you just love smooth transitions? I'm a little proud of that one, I'm not gonna lie. Future is actually pretty awesome. They're a fitness app that is all about helping you improve yourself, because you get a one-on-one personal session with a trainer from Future. They customize a fitness routine for exactly what you need, and they do it with what you have available. So if you have just a stick of matches and a random chair in the corner, well, they'll MacGyver together some sort of fitness routine for you. They'll even record positive messages to help encourage you along your way. And on top of all of that, if you sign up using my link down below, you'll get your first month with a Future trainer for only $19, which is an insanely massive discount when you think of all of the costs that would go into a gym and a trainer and all of that stuff. So if you want to lose weight, just feel better, or if you want to go out and be an adventurer of your own and not just in D&D, you can start working towards that goal. So visit my sponsor Future at tryfuture.co/DnD builds, and you'll get that massive discount at $19 for the first month, and start getting ready to completely obliterate your fitness goals. But now, back to the build. Then when it comes to a starting class, like I mentioned, the original Sword Art Online is very low magic, so we're going to start with the class Fighter. When you choose Fighter at first level, you get access to all armor and shields, as well as proficiency in all weapons, and you get saving throws in Strength and Constitution. Additionally, you get proficiency in 2 skills, so we're going to grab Athletics and Perception, and then the first feature you get from being a fighter is a fighting style. Obviously, we already have Dual Wielder, so we need to improve that attack with that offhanded weapon and grab 2-weapon fighting. Now you can add your ability modifier to the damage of your offhand attack, which means right at first level, you have a bonus +1 to armor class thanks to wielding 2 weapons, and you get 2 attacks in a single turn, one's with your main hand and one's with your offhand. Then additionally at first level, you get access to Second Wind, so you can use a bonus action to regain hit points equal to 1d10 plus your fighter level. You can only do this once per short or long rest, but it's pretty darn helpful to have. Then at second level of fighter, you get Action Surge. So now you can take 2 actions in a single turn once per short or long rest. Then at third level of fighter, you get a martial archetype. And frankly, this was very difficult to choose because in Sword Art Online and most of the sequel series, they have special sword arts or techniques that they would use, and that feels very spot on for a battle master and the maneuvers that they would use. But part of the reason that Kirito is so good at so much sword fighting is that in the real world, he had some training in more samurai style techniques. And in other parts of the show, he's not always using 2 weapons, really hammering home that more samurai style of fighting. So I'm going to grab the martial archetype, Samurai. This is also going to have a very special benefit that I'm going to dive into a little later that rings unreasonably true to the show. When you choose this subclass at third level, you get a bonus proficiency, so we'll grab Insight because that feels like you might be trying to read your opponent's moves. Also at third level of Samurai, you get Fighting Spirit. So as a bonus action on your turn, you can give yourself advantage on all weapon attack rolls until the end of your current turn. This also gives you 5 temporary hit points, and the number of hit points increases when you reach 10th level, giving you 10 temporary hit points, and 15th level giving you 15 temporary hit points. You can use this feature 3 times, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. I should note that because you would be using your bonus action, you would have to sacrifice your offhand attack in this situation, but Samurai is going to have some other benefits later to completely outweigh it. Then at 4th level of fighter, you get an ability score improvement. And I cannot avoid the fact that you do need some sort of maneuver, and there's a very notable move that happens very early in the series where Kirito and Asuna are fighting side by side and they pull off a switch maneuver. So we're gonna grab the feat Fighting Initiate. This allows us to choose an additional fighting style which we are only allowed to do once. We'll grab the fighting style Superior Technique, which allows us to learn 1 maneuver, which are usually only accessible by being a battle master. So now we get the best of both worlds in a limited capacity. You get a superiority die, which is a d6, and you can use that special maneuver that you choose, and considering they do a switch in battle, we're going to choose the maneuver, Bait and Switch. So when you're near another creature on your turn, you can expend 1 superiority die and switch places with that creature as long as the other person's willing. This movement doesn't provoke any sort of opportunity attack, and you or the other creature of your choice gains bonus armor class equal to the number you roll on your superiority die. Then at 5th level of fighter, you get extra attack, which is important for any martial class, but especially if you really need to start swinging around some swords really quickly. Then at 6th level of fighter, you get another ability score improvement because fighters get the most ability score improvements out of any class in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. So we're going to go ahead and boost up that strength score by 2 points, bringing it to 18. Then at 7th level of fighter, you get another feature from being a samurai, Elegant Courtier. So whenever you make a persuasion check, you actually gain a bonus equal to your wisdom modifier, which isn't really going to help us a lot because our wisdom modifier is a +0, but the other more notable feature is that you gain proficiency in wisdom saving throws, which is very helpful, especially for dealing with fear effects. Then at 8th level of fighter, you get another ability score improvement, so we're going to go ahead and max out that strength finally, bringing it to 20, dealing plenty more damage with your main attack, your extra attack, and your offhand attack. Then at 9th level of fighter, fighter, you get Indomitable. So if you need to pull out that anime protagonist trump card, when you fail on a saving throw, you can actually just re-roll it once. Although you can only use this once per long rest. Then at 10th level of fighter, you get another feature from being a samurai, Tireless Spirit. So when you want to use that fighting spirit feature and you don't have any uses remaining, you regain 1 use when you roll initiative. Then at 11th level of fighter, you get another extra attack. So now you get to attack 3 times with your main hand and still once with your offhand, bringing you to 4 attacks total. And if you use action surge, you can get another 3 attacks. Then at 12th level of fighter, you get another ability score improvement. So we're actually going to boost up our dexterity by 2 points, bringing it to 16. In the anime, we see Kirito constantly wearing what appears to be more medium armor, because it's something like breastplates, which he wears under his cloak of midnight, and we don't really see him wearing heavy armor very often. But most medium armor allows you to add a +2 from your dexterity modifier if you have 14 in dexterity. So bringing dexterity to 16 is going to feel like a slight waste, at least for just a minute. In the meantime, it'll still help with your dex saving throws. Then at 13th level of fighter, you get another use of Indomitable per long rest, and then at 14th level of fighter, you get another ability score improvement. So we're going to pick up another feat, and we're going to grab Medium Armor Master. Now you don't have disadvantage on stealth whenever you're wearing any type of medium armor, so you can wear the strongest medium armor available, which is half plate, and you can add 3 rather than 2 to your armor class if you have a dexterity of 16 or higher. So now your armor class, while wielding 2 weapons and the strongest medium armor you can that isn't actually magical or anything, is going to be 15 for the half plate, +3 for Medium Armor Master and your dexterity, bringing you to 18, and then another +1 from Dual Wielder and wielding 2 weapons, bringing you to a total of 19. Then at 15th level of fighter, you get another feature from being a samurai, Rapid Strike. So you learn to trade some accuracy for swift strikes. If you take the attack action on your turn and you have advantage on the attack rolls, you can forgo advantage on 1 roll and make 1 additional weapon attack against that target. But remember, you have plenty of attacks, so you're still going to have advantage on most of the attacks that you're going to do during a turn. But that now brings your total attacks while swinging mercilessly and trying to push yourself as fast as possible to 3 attacks as your normal action. You can take Action Surge for another 3 attacks. You can use Rapid Strike to give yourself 1 more attack, and then you can use your bonus action for an offhand attack, bringing you to a total of 8 attacks. Then at 16th level of fighter, you get another ability score improvement, so we're going to grab another feat. You're going to need plenty of health being up there on the front lines, so we're going to grab the feat Tough. This is like the equivalent of giving 4 more points in our constitution when it comes to our total health, because it gives you another 2 points of health per level of your overall build. Then at 17th level of fighter, you get 1 more use of action surge per short or long rest, and 1 more use of Indomitable per long rest. Then at 18th level of fighter, you get your final feature from being a samurai, Strength Before Death. And this is where I really felt like we kicked it into full-blown anime protagonist level of overpowered. Because if you use this feature, when you take damage that reduces you to 0 hit points, you can use your reaction to delay falling unconscious and immediately take an entire extra turn. Not an extra action, an extra turn. You still have 0 hit points when you're doing this, and you're gonna have to make death saving throws during this whole interaction. But if you use this, that means you get 3 attacks as your action. Another 3 attacks as an action if you use your action surge. You can use Rapid Strike for 1 more attack and use your bonus action for an offhand attack. Then you can take all of that and double it, bringing you to a pretty insane amount of attacks. But it gets even better in just a second, because at 19th level of fighter you get 1 more ability score improvement, so we're just going to boost up our constitution by 2 points, which just helps our health and any constitution saving throws that we might have to make. And then at 20th level we get another extra attack, bringing us to 4 attacks as an action. But if we combine all of this, we get 4 attacks as an action, 4 attacks as an action surge, 1 attack with rapid strikes, and 1 attack as your bonus action, bringing you to a total of 10 attacks. Then, if you're in that die-hard situation where somebody's pretty much just about to kill you and you need to activate your Strength Before Death as a reaction, you can take all of that and double it, bringing you to 20 attacks, bringing you insanely far beyond anything that you could imagine and making you feel like a truly powerful anime protagonist. Let me know what you think about this build in the comments down below, especially if you have any thoughts about Sword Art Online and how it fits into the anime community. I'm definitely down to read those comments as well. If you want access to the character sheet for this build or any of my other builds, feel free to check out my Patreon linked in the description down below, just like these incredible people, especially Bad and Persid, Caleb Roan, Keelan, Omar C, the Dino 21, Viral Naravar, Yaksha Senpai, and Zed13. And going above and beyond all of that is my Dungeon Master level patrons that I actually play D&D with, which I stream right here on YouTube as well as over on Twitch. And the players in that game are Benjamin, Braden Aldridge, Connor Kitchen, Daniel Galvin, Demiurge, Devin Happy, Eric Wade, GameSteak, Heyo, Kilo, Michael, Tristan Bennett, and Salvador. And if you made it all the way to the end of this video, let me know by hitting that like button, and I'll be here hoping you roll at least 3 nat 20s in your next D&D session, especially if you want to play as a somewhat overpowered anime protagonist in an isekai that's been a bit divisive in the anime community, like Kirito in Dungeons & Dragons.